Hello guys, how you doing? Well, we've left the Miami area, and it's about 3 months later now since you've last seen us. We've had a lot going on, and right now we're here to give you a little bit of a real-time update, and at the end of things we'll tell you where we are.
So I just want to explain what we've been going through. It's not that we owe you an explanation, because we really don't. But I want to let you know what was going on. When we were in Florida in January and February, we were going through some really tough times. As you may or may not know, last spring of 18, we got involved with the Epic Nomad TV organization and actually invested in it to help bring you the movie RV Nomads.
Right.
When we did that, we really poured all of our time and effort into the RV Nomads project and actually let our own channel suffer, as you may know.
You guys probably noticed that we didn't have very many videos in 2018, and that was because of our devotion to the RV Nomads movie and the ENTV project.
And what's amazing is we actually pulled off a movie.
Right.
We helped make a movie, and we were in that movie. After we got done producing the movie and putting it out to the public at Nomad Fest in Wellington, Texas, that's when we moved on to the southeast and to Florida, and that's where things got a little complicated and life started falling apart for us. We were trying everything within
Well, it wasn't that our life was falling apart.
Well,
I think the ENTV was falling apart.
ENTV was starting to collapse, and Gary and I were putting all of our effort and time to try to save it. We had promised to put on a second movie in Nomad Fest 2019, and it was getting to a point it wasn't going to look like that was going to happen.
Right.
And Gary and I were trying everything within our ability, just as two people, to save it. And when we were in the Keys, that's when it really came to a head that we weren't going to be able to save it. And partially it's because of the people that were still remaining in the company. We couldn't communicate. And communication is key in any business. And it finally came to a point where Gary and I had to resign from the ENTV establishment, which really, really hurt our hearts. And I fell into a severe depression because I had this connection with not only our coworkers and the cast members, but the ENTV family, the RV Nomads that we had met along the way at Nomad Fest and everywhere else. I mean, we had a great following, and I felt like we were letting down those people as well by leaving the organization. It
was a real heartfelt decision, a real difficult decision for us to make in leaving the ENTV project, but it really actually came down to our personal health. We were suffering. Like Stacy had mentioned, she was going into a depression, and we were in the most beautiful place in the country almost, you know, the Florida Keys. It's some amazing scenery, and we couldn't enjoy it because of this. We needed to change our lifestyle somehow, and actually resigning from ENTV was probably the best solution at the time that we could have done. And, you know, regardless of what happened, we still feel sorry and hurt that we may have upset any one of you, and I hope we can. I hope when we meet you down the road, we can get through it, and we'll travel together sometime.
Yes, but through that depression, one of the things that suffered was actually me producing videos. I had no want to pick up the camera, and I didn't until April.
Right.
So we can tell you what we did, but we only have it in pictures because I lost my mojo.
You know, when we do projects like this, you have to You have to have desire and drive behind you. And when you go into a depressive state, you lose a lot of that emotional attachment to any projects that you're working on. And you can't force it, especially when it's a creative project like this. You can't force these kind of videos or this kind of content. So it had to be something that we worked through.
And another thing, we don't do this for a monthly paycheck. We do this out of the love of wanting to bring this content to you. We make very little out of it, right. And so right then I just had to put video producing aside and work on us.
Right. We had to heal ourselves, had to heal each other and our lives before we could move on and create the content again.
So the last time, our last video that we actually filmed, we were in Miami and we were all excited to bring you boat shopping videos because we were going to go to the Miami boat show. Oh, yes. And the morning of the start of the show, we drive into Miami, and of course we're with Elsie, our truck, who is 9 feet tall.
There's a lot of parking garages in Miami. We don't fit in.
And I had gotten out of the truck to go ask a police officer where we could park our beast of a truck, and I see Gary pulling off, and needless to say, I started running towards him, and I fell hard on my shoulder, and I tore some muscles in it, and it really put a damper. I couldn't even hold the camera.
Well, that was kind of on top of the depression that you're already suffering. Now we had the shoulder injury and, you know, constant continuous pain. So it was just, it wasn't a good mix.
We did go to the boat show for 2 days, yeah. And we got to see our friends with Battleborn batteries. And
yeah. Oh, Sean and the girls, we had a great time with them.
And we saw some beautiful boats.
Oh my gosh, did we ever.
Oh, daydreaming there. But soon, right after the boat show, we started going home. The depression, as we had said, had taken over, and I just wanted to go home. So we started our trek across the country. Because it was mid-February, the middle of the country was getting pounded with storms.
Gosh, huge storms.
So we decided to stay south, and we headed over to the Gulf Coast.
Yes.
And the Gulf Coast was gorgeous. We got to visit our friends Dawn and Neva, and they showed us around the Pensacola area.
Mm-hmm. Really nice area.
And then from there, we went to Gulf State Park in Alabama.
That was one of the most beautiful parks we've been to. My gosh, it's so well done.
One of our favorite state parks. Yeah. And then we went over to Waveland, Mississippi, and spent a whole week there. And that's when I finally decided I needed to go to a doctor because my shoulder, it had been about 2 weeks at that point, and I was still in a huge amount of pain. So I learned how to go to the doctor the right way on the road.
Right.
You don't go to a minor emergency. You should go to an ER.
Yes, they have all the facilities available. Or they have all the equipment available to do anything you might need to do.
From there, after that, we were going to go to New Orleans and spend Mardi Gras. However, another big storm was coming through. A huge tornado had just hit Alabama. Mm-hmm. And we decided to bypass New Orleans and head to South Texas, where our friends Melissa and JR with Cultivated Journey, mm-hmm. We're camping, and we got to spend a weekend with them, which was really fabulous.
It was really nice, in a beautiful area. In
Hill country,
Texas. Beautiful area.
From there, we went up to Lake Whitney and hit 1,000 Trails Park, and we got to meet up with several of our RV nomads from Nomad Fest that we had met.
That was really nice meeting up with them.
And then from there, we went up to Midland, Texas, and visited our friend Melissa, who we both went to high school with.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Melissa.
And then we made our mad dash west.
Right. We crossed Texas, or finished crossing Texas. Went into
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, yeah.
And we got to see our good friend Suzanne Gifford with Giffords on the Go for lunch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where was that? That was in
Roswell.
Roswell, New Mexico. Yes.
And later that day we ended up in Albuquerque, and then again we met up with Christelle Dinkler with Carried Away, the balloon that we've helped crew in the past with Fred and Christelle.
And doing this, and you know, meeting up with these friends on the road and meeting up with these friends in their hometowns is helping our healing process. Because, you know, having friends close by is the best thing you can do. And while we're in Miami, it was just the two of us for the most part.
Yeah.
So
there was a few escapers here and there that we'd run into.
So it was really nice to meet up with these folks on the road.
Almost every day on our way west, we ran into somebody. The next night we ended up outside of Flagstaff at a boondocking location. And then the next day, guys, we were in Las Vegas, Nevada.
So we went from Texas to Las Vegas, Nevada in
4 days?
2, 4 nights, yeah, something like that.
I think it took us about 6 days to get cross country.
Yeah.
But it was well worth it, because when we got in Las Vegas, our best friends from back home, Jeff and Julie, were there waiting for us with open arms.
Yep. Well, there's a reason why we went to Las Vegas too.
Well, it was his birthday.
Well, that's just beside the point. But our hometown basketball team, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, were playing in their West Coast Conference championship. And we got tickets to go see the Zags play in Las Vegas. And man, was it a lot of fun. It
was a lot of fun.
The first game was great. Amazing.
We lost the championship to St. Mary's. Right. But I guess if you're going to lose, that's the game to lose. So while in Las Vegas, we had a great time. We spent about a week there. We did get an RV park. The Oasis, which, you know, it was a really nice park to stay at.
And after being in Florida for a couple of months, their most expensive rate was like half rate of Florida, so it was really cheap.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. And while in Las Vegas, we went and toured the town with Jeff and Julie. We went to several shows. As Gary said, we went to the basketball tournament. And we finally got to go see the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yes, in a helicopter.
Yes, we took a helicopter tour with Maverick helicopters, and oh my gosh, the four of us, it was amazing.
We
went
trip.
Up the west end of the canyon, and it was a landing on the canyon floor, and we had champagne.
It was beautiful.
It was so nice.
It wasn't the best weather, but it was just beautiful being there.
Sorry, you had a mosquito in your beard.
That's not surprising. I probably have something else too. So yeah, after Las Vegas, we went out to Lake Mead and met up with my parents and also our real good family friends, Bob and Janice. Had a couple nights with them, and then they took off and went their separate ways.
Yeah, we were up at Stewart's Point, which is one of our favorite places on Lake Mead. But after that, we moved down to Government Wash and met up with a whole group of escapers, and it felt like home again.
It felt like home. Yes, we had our people with us. It was really nice.
In all, I think there was around 20 of us, and this was St. Patrick's Day weekend. So back to the Strip we headed with our escapers crowd. But we did make one night. We all went out down to the Strip and had a lot of fun. And after that, we decided it was finally time to head north. Spokane, our hometown, had gotten a really bad snowstorm.
Right.
And so that's why we stayed a little bit longer than we thought we would in the Las Vegas area. But finally, when the snow started to melt, we decided to head north. Plus, our Gonzaga Bulldogs were chosen first in their division for the NCAA tournament, #1 seed, and they were playing in Salt Lake. So that rerouted us to Salt Lake City, and we got tickets, and we thoroughly enjoyed the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. After Salt Lake, we decided to head home, and we had 2 different route options, but we have a really good friend in Missoula, Montana, so we decided to turn the wheels north on 15.
Right.
And we headed to Missoula to see Brian Scott.
It was so great to see Brian and the family. Gosh, miss those guys.
Yes, Brian and us have a really great connection. Yep. It's like 2 brothers here. 2 brothers from another mother. We spent 2 days in Missoula, and we spent 1 whole day. We went up to the hot springs at Lolo Pass with Brian and Angie, and then we hit a distillery and a really great restaurant for a dinner together.
It's a great day. Amazing day.
And then We went home.
Final push home.
It was great. When we got home, my mom was at the house waiting. Scott and Melissa and the kids were waiting, and it was a reunion that was so necessary.
It felt great to pull the motor home into the shop, back her up in there, and turn it off.
Yeah, we basically...
and just go home.
We grabbed our pillows, our toothbrushes, and our electronics, and went in the house. And I think it took us about 2 weeks to go back into the motorhome and start getting her ready.
There were a few things. I was taking care of some stuff all through the time, but not really into it for a couple of weeks.
As you may know with our past travels, we always go home in the spring to adult, basically. My birthday is the first week of April. Gary's is just 2 weeks prior to mine, or 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And then we have my mother's birthday, and Scott and Melissa's kids' birthdays are right in that area. So
Melissa's birthday's in that area in the springtime too. So it's nice to be home with family and friends.
It's very nice. Plus, we're very active with our community, and every year we put on the Easter egg hunt for our community, and we needed to be home to do that.
Right, and it's amazing. We put out about 4,000 eggs. It's amazing how fast those eggs get scooped up with the kids.
About in a minute and a half, it's done. All that work done in a minute.
But yeah, the Easter egg hunt has been something that the 9 Mile Community Club has been putting on for ages and ages, and we have to continue that each year. And it's so fulfilling to be able to do that.
So that brings us to where we are today in preparing for Alaska.
It gives us a chance to be at home and clean up the motorhome, take out the Florida stuff, put in the Alaska stuff, and then feel more comfortable traveling in these northern parts of the countries.
So the next couple of videos that you see from us are our preparations. We did a lot of upgrading and modifications for this trip.
Yes, we did.
And then after that, we will start our journey to Alaska. And you might get a hint, we're not at home right now.
We're not at home. We're not even in Alaska yet either, but can you believe this beauty behind us?
We are currently in beautiful British Columbia, but it will take a couple of videos to catch you up to this point.
Should we tell them where we're at in British Columbia?
No.
We're really far north.
We're almost to the Yukon.
Almost to not on the Alaska Highway either.
No. So stay tuned, and we will see you
up the road.
Up the road.
Because we're going north.
Until next time.
Pauhana.
Here is a sneak peek on what's coming up on our Pauhana Travels channel as we go back to Alaska, summer of 2019. Be sure to hit the red subscribe button below so you don't miss our next Pauhana adventures.
As always, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up down below. Leave us a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We thank you for watching.
Until next time, Pauhana.